My name's Scott Tindle, and I'm the co-founder of Meducate AI.
Nice to have you here, Scott. It's been a hot minute since you were on the podcast last, but I am very excited to have you here because I know this is going to be a fun talk. So,
Well, I always enjoy visiting with you. So anytime we get a chance to do that, it's a bonus for me.
absolutely. Well, the last time you were on, I believe that you were still in the midst of, like, we talked about, your time on Shark Tank, and we talked about some of the other things that you had going on with the duck boats and
Right.
stuff like that. But I know that you've kind of moved into like a new area. But before we, get into that, let's, kind of take a step back and give people just give them the 30-second or the 2-minute kind of who you are and what some of your experiences have been.
Yeah.
Also your education matters too.
Sure.
So, but
So I was born and raised in Mobile, or at least I thought I was in Mobile. I grew up out past the airport. It was Mobile to us. Went to Baker and really enjoyed it. And from there, ended up getting a degree in secondary education from Auburn. Thought I wanted to be a teacher and a coach, and did that for a little bit. And realized that wasn't the world for me.
what did you teach? I don't know.
I taught history. Yeah, I've taught everything from 7th grade history to 12th grade government. This is crazy. My first teaching job, I graduated in December. I had just turned 21, and I got hired in January to replace a teacher that was on maternity leave. I was teaching 12th grade government to 18 to 19-year-olds when I was 21.
So you weren't much older than they were, and
Yeah, they were like, "What are we doing this weekend?" I was like, "Absolutely nothing. If you show up at my house, we're gonna have problems."
wow.
It was an interesting experience. So I was still living in Auburn.
Yeah.
So after that, went to law school at University of Alabama, and really enjoyed the people I met there. That was a great experience. And then along the way, after that, man, every several years I'd take on a new adventure. So I've done everything for
That seems to be your
it's like a 3 to 4 year window, and then we go on.
Is that
this
intentional?
adventure. It didn't start that way,
Okay, but
but it kind of is now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm happier that way. And some people like to do the same thing for 15
Well,
years.
We're gonna dive into that in just a minute.
It's just not what I enjoy.
Yeah, because like that's very fascinating to me, but I don't want to sidetrack you.
Yeah, well, and we can get into that. But because of that,
And I'm not gonna edit this out because I'm a moron. I've been running late today.
it's fine.
I'm gonna turn these lights on so that you guys can see us if you're watching this. There we go. I was wondering why is it so dark in here?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different things, from international security to running nonprofits and state fair and a Thai company that was on Shark Tank to running tourist operations in a restaurant.
Okay, so I want to hear more about this though. So you have intentionally you're intentionally doing this cycle now.
Mhm.
Is this because you find that this is just the way that your brain works, or is this just a natural thing for you, or what?
Yeah, I think it was learning how I learn and what I find value in. I find value in building things, creating new things. And once they're built or created, somebody else is going to do a better job of running them
Yeah.
day to day. I don't enjoy that part. So for me, if I can build something, create something, move on, that makes me happy.
That's really interesting. I've always said that I have felt, like way back in the day, I read this book called Courageous Leadership. It was by Bill Hybels. At the time, he had Willow Creek Church, and it was the biggest church in the United States outside of Chicago. I think they had like 30 or 40,000 members or something like that. I mean, it was a big church, right? And he wrote a book on leadership. Now, granted, it was geared towards church leadership, which I was in, so read it, but, it applies everywhere. And it was very eye-opening because he talks about the different types of leader. And it wasn't until that moment when I read that book that I realized, oh, wait, there's room for like different types of leaders.
Yeah, there's gradients in there. Right? It's a spectrum of leadership.
And he talks about the entrepreneurial, leader that, and I very much kind of leaned into that because I'm not a manager either. It's why I've always had to have somebody else that, works with me, because oftentimes they're better at, continuing to manage things than I am. It's a real slog for me.
Yeah, one of the best things that you can do is when you finally get the self-awareness to know that what you're good at and what you're not good at, and feeling comfortable letting other people be a part of that. And You know, I tell people if we were all just alike, we wouldn't need each other.
Right.
We're all different. And if we embrace that and figure out how to work through that the best way, then we can build better organizations, better businesses, better friendships. You know, I don't want all my friends to be just like me. What would I learn?
Well, I guess we can't be friends anymore.
You're not just like me. There's a lot of things going on that we can't do.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's it's just very interesting to me because again, we've talked about it, here. I was diagnosed with ADHD, even though I knew that I had it forever. I was diagnosed late 40s, I think it was.
Yeah.
And but it's not so much, I don't care about the Adderall and stuff like that. And, that's easy. Go to your doctor, figure it out.
Right.
The real kind of expansive thing for me was learning how that impacts my brain or how I think versus somebody who doesn't have that. And a lot of it is surrounding this, like, hey, I like to build things. I like the excitement of something new. I like to learn new things. And I've had to kind of temper that because, doing that can also be quite expensive.
Yeah. And then you're prone to chase shiny things and take your eye off what you need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm trying to get better at. I always have so many ideas or so many different things I want to learn or pursue. I can get myself spread too thin.
Yeah.
And then I'm not doing anything very well.
Yeah. No, and I guess that's just part of understanding is then you can more closely keep an eye on even yourself, if you're falling prey to some of your personality quirks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we have some self-awareness and we evaluate ourselves every day, I'm pretty good at knowing at the end of my day, I can rank myself on how did I do today.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean like how much did I get accomplished, but it's how did I feel? How did I engage with people? How did I react when people engage with me?
So we're going down like completely, and we hadn't talked about what we're going to talk about or anything. So this is kind of preform, but maybe this is just Marcus's therapy session. But how did you disconnect feeling like you didn't accomplish anything because the task list didn't have a bunch of check marks on it?
I started to think about defining what a win is. What is a win? And a win to me is being present in the day. I'll give you an example. A win to me was having the ability to take my daughter to her orthodontics appointment this morning to get her braces off. That's a win. She's 15 years old.
It's a big moment.
In 3 years, she's going to be out of my house. Those are wins that I can count on every day. So even if I didn't get enough done at work, what were the other wins I got through the rest of the day?
Yeah.
Did I help a friend who needed to talk through something? Did I help a friend who had a question about business? Was I a good dad?
Making time for those moments that pop up.
Yeah, and trying to be present in that. And I did not do that very well when my kids were younger. I was running the ducks in the restaurant, the fort, and I was working 70, 80 hours a week. And I missed a lot of those things. And you just can't go back and do it. But what you can do is start from now and be present now. So I think about that with my 9-year. I've got daughters that are 15, 12, and 9.
Okay.
And so
that's funny. You've got 3 daughters?
Daughters.
I've got 3 of my own boys. Yeah. So it's funny, but good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an interesting experience. So it's like, how do you feel good about it? Like if I don't meditate in the morning, my day is going to be different. Like I can just tell. If I don't meditate before I go to sleep, I don't sleep as well. I mean, meditation for me has been a huge tool, and it took years of practice to get good at it. And I'm still not great at it, right? Some people can do it a lot better. But for me, being able to meditate, get into a place where you can turn your brain off and you think about nothing. And that allows you to start having new thoughts that come into your brain, new connections, new ideas, just being introspective about it.
Yeah. I mean, and some of you are going to nod your head when I say this, and some of you aren't going to understand what I'm saying. But for a lot of us, there's a constant recording of just utter bullshit that's going on in our ears, regardless of whether there's somebody in the room talking to us or not.
That's right.
And it's our own mind. And so, and I can imagine that the reason why it was so hard for you to get into meditation was because there was a voice that was constantly talking to you.
Yeah, it's the whole process is trying to figure out how to slow it down and turn it off.
Yeah.
medication works for some people. That I think that that's between them and their doctors,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't get in the middle of that kind of relationship. But for me, meditation allowed me to get off my ADD meds, and I feel better. I feel more me when I'm not on them.
Well, and you're able to adjust your day
Right.
to suit what you're capable of doing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's and that's part of what I like also is I like to be able to create things with people I want to create.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to do something,
Yeah.
I like having the flexibility
do
of
it.
not having to do it. Yeah. I just don't do it.
I mean, like we were texting this morning at 7:00 or
Yeah.
something like that, and it was like, "Hey, you still want to do this today?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm up for it." And I'm like, "All right." See you. You know, it's like,
There's not a lot of people's schedules are that flexible, you know,
No.
where they could just say, "Yeah, I'll see you in a couple hours."
yeah,
And sit down for a little bit.
yeah, it was pretty cool. But no, and I know that it's a luxury that we have that we're able to do that. And you're just the first person that I think I've met that's been able to kind of like, I don't know, calm that voice.
It's a work in progress. I mean, it's not. I don't want to act like that I've conquered it, but I am making progress on it,
yeah,
and I can tell, not so much day after day, but month after month. I can look back at how my meditation practice was a few months ago,
yeah,
and really, it took about 3 years for it to click. And then once it clicked, and for those 3 years, you're like, what am I doing?
yeah,
Like, this is silly. But there's nothing silly in sitting still and being quiet
right.
and just letting yourself be still and quiet. We don't have enough of that in life.
No, we really don't. We're not bored enough.
And we rarely have time by ourselves. And when we do, a lot of us look at it as, oh, I'm by myself. I'm lonely. I'm bored. Like, I'm never bored with myself. I got so much going on in my brain. I'm having 17 conversations while we're doing the podcast.
Preach, brother. So, well, you were, and I hope I'm not elevating myself, by saying this, but you and I think we're pushing, for a lot of things that were happening in Mobile.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I just wanted to touch on was just like, kind of the state of the city, like, what you see, that's going on here in Mobile, anything that, I don't know, not anything that necessarily though, because we're not looking to impact anything anymore. I don't think.
Just myself and my kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all kind of took a shovel to the face with COVID.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. So what are your thoughts around, all that?
Well, people always like to say we're the city of perpetual potential.
Yeah.
All right. And if that's true, and we haven't lived up to our potential, that's one thing. But if it's true, that also means we have potential that we can go live up to.
Yeah.
And I think we do. I think we've got infrastructure in place. We've got really interesting things going on. But where I'm concerned is, and we talk a lot about AI.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the changes in the world in the next 5 years and people not being ready for them or not even being aware of it. So a lot of my time now, whether it's on the radio show on Tuesday nights or Johnny Glenn and I do a lunchtime show now called Lunch Breaks.
Yeah. Actually, stop and tell us about it. Yeah.
So we have a show called, Johnny Glenn and I have a show called Lunch Breaks. We come on at 11:45, 12 o'clock, kind of whenever we actually get live.
Yeah.
But it's punk rock, man. We just two guys in front of a camera and he's producing it from his computer and we're showing things on the internet that we find interesting. Or we have one segment called Rate the Robots. And so we rate them if they're a clanker or a banger. And apparently clanker has become the slang for or slur, I guess, is more of what people are using it for.
Yeah.
But I think back to the city, right? I think that if we take advantage of opportunities, we've got a chance to be successful because the world is going to change so much in the next 10 years. I think it's going to be 5 years that we'll see a lot of change. In 10 years, it'll be radically different. And when I was thinking about this earlier today, I was thinking, what was life like 10 years ago?
Okay.
And Barack Obama was still the president. The first Trump administration had not even started.
Right.
We were still in wars in Afghanistan. Like, just think about how different the world was. And that was only 10 years ago. Now, the next 10 years are going to feel like 50 or 100. And in 2030, If you invite me back, we'll sit here if we're all still
Let's hope
around.
it's not that long. But
Yeah. Well, my point is in 2030, when we have this conversation,
Yep.
we'll look back on 2025 the way that today we look back on 1985. That's how much change. You're going to see 40 years worth of change in the next 5 to 10 years. So, all right. So let's go into what the city
and
can
I don't
do.
disagree with you.
This idea of the
Yeah.
bridge, we don't need to build the bridge. Don't build the bridge.
Okay.
We will, every 18-wheeler will be autonomous before that bridge is built. Most humans' personal cars will be autonomous before we could get that bridge built.
I hadn't even thought about that.
So there's no reason to go down that path. Right? It's about to get a lot safer. I think that in the next 5-10 years, when autonomous cars are everywhere, your insurance is going to be sky high if you choose to drive your car.
Yeah,
You're going to be penalized for being the human driver because the autonomous driving is so much safer. But it's things like that. So it's like, why are we? I love that Mobilians get excited about things. We get excited about small things, right? We get a train back in town, and it's like it's the 1860s, and the railroad is coming through. Everybody's so excited.
I can't tell you how many times Mr. Rick Perry, has told me that he wants to go on this train. And every time he asks me, I kindly remind him that it's an 8-hour round trip, like 4 hours or so there.
Yeah.
You get a couple of hours in New Orleans and then 4 or so hours back. I'm sure I'll end up on it at some point in time, but man,
well, look, people like what they like. When I finally accepted that, I became so much happier in life.
I hear you.
I used to care what you like. I don't care.
Yeah.
If your emotional support celebrity gets engaged and that makes you happy,
yeah,
it makes me happy that makes you happy.
Emotional support celebrity. That's a good one.
So,
yeah,
we
you were saying we get excited about small things.
Yeah. And so, all right, if we know that about ourselves, how do we get excited about big things? How do we create big changes? Right? The next administration is going to have a wonderful opportunity to start implementing new technologies in ways that before were too expensive. A lot of this technology has existed. It just wasn't practical to be able to deploy it to scale.
Right.
And so I think you're going to see some pretty big changes. I think that before the midterm elections, I don't like talking about politics, but it's just part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think that AI and job displacement will be the largest topic of conversation in the midterms.
So, I mean, it's already a topic of conversation.
Certainly with us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even just with us. I think just in the news, you're starting to see a lot more about companies saying that new hires are, that's like the last resort. If it can be done by AI, then do it with AI, and let's just not even have those positions anymore. And it's only so long before that comes up the pay scale, if you will, and affects everybody.
Well, conservative estimates this is just the conservative estimates, have us losing 70% of entry-level white-collar jobs in the next 5 years. Okay. Now, people say, well, how does that affect me?
Wow. Okay.
It affects you a couple of different ways. If these young people are not moving into jobs, there are no jobs for them to move into. How do we learn to be adults?
Mm-hmm.
What is that process going to look like? What are we going to do with our time? How are we going to pay our bills? And all that goes into the same cycle. How does that affect you? Well, if we lose 15,000 jobs in the city, we lose sales tax from 15,000 people who are unemployed. That directly affects the budget, right? Because we're a sales tax driven city. So we have to think about those types of things. Or if you're thinking, well, how does this affect me? Well, it'll affect your kids and your grandkids.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's going to affect you.
Yeah, and we've had a number of talks in our household about, the kids and school and, what does this all mean? And I don't know that we've kind of landed on any kind of concrete, ground, but I'm of the mindset of, schooling right now is not preparing them anywhere near for the world that they're about to be launched.
No, it can't, right? It can't in its current capacity because that's not what it was built for.
Yeah.
It was built to be a factory system. It was built to create factory workers, people who could work, follow instructions.
Yeah.
That's not the world we're moving into.
Yeah.
Those jobs don't exist. So if robots are going to replace the just non-thinking jobs, and the AI will enhance the robots.
Yeah. And when you look at, even how that might impact, like the local government, do you have any inclination as to how that will start to I mean, what does that look like? Is that also entry level jobs in government not being
Government will be one of the last places because there's no incentive to not hire in government,
okay?
right?
Yeah,
Government jobs will be around forever. They'll be doing different things. There'll be a lot of people sitting around doing nothing, but you're not going to see layoffs at scale until the budget starts getting crunched, and then they have to start making hard decisions.
yeah,
And maybe we don't have that, right? Maybe we go through this AI revolution and we come out on the other side with just some nicks and bruises. But right now, I don't see a way that our current systems in place can survive without being torn down and rebuilt. And I'm not saying I'm the one that has the answers on
well,
how to rebuild them.
and you're
There's
not
other
the only
people
one.
that there's other people that will know. People are going to know their own verticals. They're going to know and see it coming inside of their businesses. So AI is going to disrupt industries because someone in that industry is going to create a tool that they needed for themselves. And once they have that tool, they'll sell it to everybody.
Yeah,
And so when we talk about AI creating new opportunities, it will. And for people who are industrious and smart and want to try new things, it's never been better. But we don't create jobs that way. So like Meducate is a company that Johnny and I started. It's a AI healthcare company. And in the past, just to get where we are now to launch, we probably would have needed 30 employees. There's 2 of us, 3 of us. I mean, and we can scale up to 1,000 doctors without needing employees. So it's like, where are the jobs going to come from? Yeah. Not the businesses. People will be able to create their own businesses for themselves. But it used to be when you created a business, and this is one of the reasons people liked it. They felt like by creating jobs in their community, they were serving their community.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I started Bluefish.
Right. Yeah. And most people feel that way. And that's not going to be the way that the world looks going forward.
Yeah.
I don't know what jobs are, the other thing is this, we talk about what jobs are safe and what jobs are not safe. Well, even if your job is safe, the pressure that we're going to put on the economy, because now you've got all of these people pushing in to other fields, and that's going to push people way down the ladder. And you look at it, if we lose 70% of white collar jobs, who's going to get the jobs?
Yeah.
The people with the relationships, the people that know the person hiring, or the higher pedigree of your degree if you had to go to a college for your specialty.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, if I was 18 years old, or if I was talking to somebody that had an 18-year-old son, let's say, I would tell them, go get a job at Austin, work as many hours as you can, take every shift possible, live like a poor college student.
Yeah.
And in 4 years, pick your head up with a stack of cash and look at the world and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot you can do.
$500,000
Yeah.
stacked up after that period.
At 22 years old, and then trying to figure out what to do with life. I also think if you're a technical person, going into the Space Force could be a really interesting place to wait out the AI revolution.
You know, you don't ever hear about Space Force.
People need to be paying more attention to it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so
it was this joke when we started it, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Star Trek. Oh, we got to.
no, I mean, like, there's some wild stuff that they're doing now.
The new frontier is space.
Yeah.
Who's going to occupy the moon? Who's going to figure out the resources there? Is the moon going to be
The launching pad
a staging
for
point
Mars.
for Mars? I don't know. How are the robots? You know, the robots are going to build Mars before humans ever get there.
Yeah.
And they'll do the same with the moon, which is crazy. But is it really that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Because we landed on the moon, they tell us, in 1969.
Yeah.
We haven't had, like, if you'd have told people in 1969 we won't go back to the moon for 65 years,
They would have thought we were crazy.
they'd be like, well, that's absurd. Of course we will. Well, we'll probably be on Mars by then.
Which is part of the reason, like, there's one way to shut up all the, the conspiracy theorists is just go back. You know, like, just go back.
So Johnny and I actually talked about this on the show yesterday.
Okay.
The question of the day, we do a question of the day was,
All right.
do you believe in the moon landing? And
I had this conversation with Chrissy last night on the back porch.
yeah, my answer is I believe in both. I believe we actually landed on the moon.
Okay.
And I believe we did not get good enough video. So we recreated the moon landing to show the public.
Okay.
That's to me, that fits and checks most of the boxes.
That's a plausible. It would, like, then why not just say that? I mean, like they say that they don't have the original footage.
Why does the government keep secrets from us all the time?
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, that's the other thing, right? You start going down the government would never, and then you're like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
the government would never
They've done
test syphilis on people
everything.
in Tuskegee,
Oh yeah.
American citizens. They would never do that.
Yeah.
Of course they did.
They've done everything under the sun. So, you touched on it. So let's go there. Meducate.
Yep. So Meducate AI is a patient education platform, and the way I describe it is this: you go to the doctor, you've got kidney stones, and you're in pain, and he says, "Well, Marcus, we're going to need to do surgery," and he goes through the details of the surgery. Here's what you need to do before. Here's what to expect during. Here's what you need to do after, so that you're in good shape. You're not listening to any of that.
Mm-mm.
You're just thinking about yourself.
You're
medical
nervous.
issues.
Yeah.
You're nervous, right?
Yeah.
So doctors are spending a lot of time doing that, and it's a waste of time. Very few patients are getting anything out of that interaction.
Yeah.
So what we've been able to do is create a platform using AI tools that when you schedule your procedure, the person says, all right, Marcus, we're going to do this surgery. They enter the medical billing code into our platform. It pulls a video in there specifically about the procedure you're going to have, and it's narrated in your own doctor's voice. That way you have a personal connection to the doctor. Now, we take that video and we text it to you or email it to you. You can watch it as many times as you want. You can send it to friends and family.
Yeah.
And what we're really trying to do are tackle two big problems, which are cancellations for procedures. Most people cancel because they're anxious, or they didn't follow instructions. So if they say you need to fast after midnight and you stop at McDonald's and get a biscuit on the way to your procedure, now we've got to cancel the procedure, right? And then we don't want readmissions. A lot of readmissions happen because patients don't follow the post-op instructions, but that's because they can't remember them.
Right.
Or they've got 15 pages of stuff that they lost on the way home, and you're trying to take care of mom, and where's mom's papers?
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do? So the opportunities inside this industry are tremendous. And so we've launched a urology product. Soon we'll have internal medicine, ENT, and more as we build out the library.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a same kind of thing. It's a fun challenge to figure out if we can make it work. And I'm sure I'll do this for 3 or 4 years, and I'll go find the next challenge and figure out how to make that work.
It's interesting. Yeah, I've got to spend some time. I mean, off camera, we'll have to have another discussion about the whole cycle thing, because that's really interesting to me. Because I oftentimes find myself going through, cycles as well.
But that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
If you like stability, this is not the world for you.
Oh no, I don't like.
Right. But I mean, some people, they want the stability. They like the 9 to 5. They like at 5 o'clock leaving work, not thinking about work until they get back in the morning. If those are the types of things you like, then don't do this.
Yeah. I think, if I was just to kind of like impress something on anybody that's listening to this right now, it's just that if you find yourself with somebody, or if you find that you are someone who has this, internal drive that, things need to change every so often, there's nothing wrong with that. That there are a lot of entrepreneurial minded people that have that same, feeling. Because I know that that's sometimes painted in a bad light, like, oh, this guy's, always switching.
Flaky.
Flaky, blah,
Right.
like, choose your words.
Well, and it's really an invention of the modern world.
Yeah.
100 years ago,
It's to do this. It's to keep you in control and keep you in that position that you hate. And I'm, I'm of the mindset of like, life's too short. Like, if you don't really enjoy doing something, then, there's plenty of other things that you can do.
one of the best things you can do is say no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Well, we were just talking about the moon landing, and we escaped out of that. I'd like to go back and be on the record and just say that I don't think I do anymore.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I don't think I believe in the moon landing anymore. And I would like to be able to believe in my government a lot more than what I currently do. And I hope that at some point in time that trust is built back up. But there's just been so much trust that has been destroyed by lies over the course of the last say even 10 years.
We just need 2 weeks to flatten the curve, Marcus.
Yeah, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I'm sure. But I don't know. It's just, wild to think about all the things that, that were taught to us one way as kids going through school, and that we spend a lot of our lives kind of like making these assumptions about whether it's, what people in Russia are like,
Right.
or why the people in the Middle East are angry with us all the time, or, choose your own
Choose your
adventure.
narrative.
Yeah, choose your narrative. And, it's funny because a number of years ago, I realized that, like the news is on this 3-day cycle or something like that. It's like, they pop something up at the end of the week, and you're dying to hear about it first thing in the new week.
They're good at what they do.
And then that passes over, and then, but you never hear about any resolutions anymore. And, just kind of,
we're not a serious people. We're not like, we need to start there.
Yeah.
And we've allowed ourselves to not become serious people because life is so easy. Life is not hard compared to the course of human history.
Right.
We live better than kings lived 100 years ago. We're sitting in this room with climate control and lights, and we're streaming. We've got a little magical box that allows us to talk to people all over the world. Right. Anybody that wants to listen to us. Yeah. A king would have killed for the ability to communicate like that. So it's all about perspective, and I'm not saying life is easy.
Right.
Easy. Life is hard, right? But it's considerably easier today when you don't have to go look for clean drinking water.
Yeah. Or
that used to be a job.
Food, or
a job used to just be walk down to the river, get the drinking water for today. And it may take you 6 hours, to instead of a train to New Orleans, you're hiking to the river,
just to get water to drink.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's all interesting. I do think AI is going to, like any other technology or tool, it's about how it's used and implemented. It's going to solve some really interesting problems. It's going to create some new problems.
Yeah.
And I think we'll eventually have an AI golden age, but I don't know what dystopia we're going to have to
go through to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we should have said this at the beginning, that full disclosure, like we're in a little chat group where, with a couple of other guys that, and we bounce, these thoughts back and forth about AI and robots and what the future looks like and stuff like that. And, it's been nice to have other people that are paying attention to this to kind of talk to. And as I make it more public through podcast episodes and stuff like that, I'm kind of wading into the AI thing. I'm having more conversations with people.
Well, that's an important thing that we need to do, right? People who are interested need to talk about it. And then the more people learn about it, they'll decide if they're interested or not, but they at least need to understand what's going on. Yeah. So I think the more you do that, and I love that you're doing an event at the chamber.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Like the more of those that people can go to, just to get exposed to it. Because right now people use AI like a Google replacement. That's how most people are using it.
Yep.
Boy, it's a lot more powerful than that.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it is really amazing just in even the last year how much things have progressed. And, just recently with like the agent mode and stuff like that with ChatGPT and, some of the other, AI systems that are, out there, whether it's Gemini or Grok, Claude, whatever. I mean, some of the capabilities that they're, touting now are just incredible. So
I saw a video the other day. Sorry to cut you off. I saw a video the other day. This guy is a developer, but his boss is an AI agent. His boss put an AI agent over the team, and now he reports to the AI agent. How weird is that? All right, so that goes...
I don't even know what to say to that.
Next thought.
That's so wild.
Who is teaching people how to manage a hybrid business of humans and robots? When we have humanoid robots, how are we going to manage them? You can't manage them like you do a human.
Yeah.
Right? If you're running a hotel and your cleaning staff are now humanoid robots, it's different than, what you're used to managing.
That's a mind shift that, we haven't even kind of like gotten to yet.
And what is it going to do? What does it do to humans who can treat robots poorly with no repercussions? What does that make you think that you're also capable of doing?
I would think that would exacerbate what we already experienced with the internet effect. people are total asshole on the internet because there's no thing.
Yep.
But then when you meet them in person, they're a perfectly lovely person.
I think it's going to enhance people's negative personalities. And, in my brain, the first place I see this happening is when the robot starts stocking the shelves at Publix. The guy who got replaced is going to go up there and he's going to remove that robot from Publix physically because people are just going to be frustrated. Like you see now, like out in San Francisco, people destroying autonomous taxis. Why? Because they feel like there's nothing for them. They feel like nothing's built for them and nothing's going their way. And I think we're going to see more of that. And we're going to have to figure out how to find purpose outside of our jobs. Because right now, when somebody says, what do you do? In America, we mean, what is your job? In Europe, when they say, what do you do? They might say, oh, I ski, or I enjoy jogging, or whatever. In America, we've defined ourselves by what we do. What is our work? And that's going to have to change as we enter a post-labor economy.
Yeah, I welcome that kind of mentality because I think if that goes back to the whole like lightning change and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I find things interesting and I dive into them very deep. Yeah. It can be a problem at times because if you're wanting to focus on one thing, but this thing is really interesting to you, then you really may have an interest with that. Focus on this.
Right.
And to a certain point, and then you can go back to what you have to focus.
Right.
And it gets to be kind of like, mess in your brain. It'll be interesting to see how we get there because getting there is the problem. Once you're there, like enjoying life and being able to, we'll go to the beach, being the same. We can go anytime we want because we don't have to work.
Right.
And those are all the questions that I have. And the bigger problem that I have is just seems like nobody at the level that this needs to be happening at, nobody's having that conversation, about what's next. What does we move the world from a pre-AI, pre-robot economy into a post-robot?
Well, and it goes back to your point about trusting the government. Because right now we know they're not telling us the truth, right? We know that AI is the most powerful military industrial tool that's ever been created. Okay. So the US government is not going to let us lose that race without trying really hard. So when we start getting into issues with power and the power grid and we can't create enough power, who's going to be the one without power? It's going to be us. We're going to be rationing our power and decide we can do the podcast at 10:30 in the morning, but not at noon because they're cutting off our power for 3 hours. But they're not telling us that. They're telling us everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Right? We've got UFOs coming out of the ocean. Right? Like that is happening. And they're like, yeah, that's happening. Yeah, don't worry about it. Now, that's another example where I believe both. I believe that aliens exist, but I believe those are ours.
That was beating out the George looking for moments where
Exactly.
we're not going to tell you what it was, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's funny. Trump said, I'm going to get to the bottom of it and I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. And then he gets back in office and somebody whispers in his ear, we're not going to tell them that. And he's like, yeah, you're right. We're definitely not telling them that.
It really does make you wonder what being in there is.
I can't imagine the immense amount of stress, but also I can't imagine the amount of hubris it takes to want that job.
Right.
That to me is just like, I kind of have this idea. It's not, I don't think a lot of people would agree with it, but I think your politicians should be drafted. I don't think you should be elected. I don't think you should have people who are opting in. I think we should be drafting people and saying, sorry, sir, for the good of your community, you're going to have to go do this. Exactly. But I feel like if it was that way, we would solve a lot of problems. Like we've got people in Congress for 50 years. Like what are we doing?
We're talking with hundreds of millions of dollars and we're left wondering, one as a nation owes all.
Well, this is an interesting stat. These things we send each other, right? So if people are wondering like this type of stuff, the stat I sent the other day that said 50% of all consumer spending is now done by the top 10% of the population.
Yeah, because I want people to get.
Of all the money spent buying things, going to restaurants, stuff, cars, whatever, 50% of all that money is coming from 10% of the people, the top 10%. That's how imbalanced the economy is right now.
I remember when you said that, I looked at it, was that just for the States or was that worldwide?
That was just the United States.
It really truly is like what we would view as the top 10%, because if you include the world and all.
Yeah, we're all in the top 10%. Now, this is just a U.S. stat.
What to think? A very different thing. And so we were just recently in Atlanta, and it almost seems like people aren't feeling a lot of the same crunch that the rest of us are feeling there, which is my perception of what there was a whole lot of money being when we were walking around.
Yeah. I don't know is the answer, right? The economy, we call it one thing, but it's not, we don't have one economy. We've had dozens, probably hundreds of economies. So, and this AI revolution will take place in different places at different speeds. Mobile will be a holdout. We'll be one of the last places that feel it because we just don't like change. Yeah. And we're not ruthless people. So you're not going to see a lot of business owners in this town fire 30 employees at once.
Even when all the main employers.
And they will and it goes back to replacements. They just won't replace people. If somebody leaves for another job, those tasks will either get divided up or there'll be an AI agent that does it. So it will be slower for us. But to your point, like I used an example of roofers. People think, oh, roofers can't be replaced. It's impossible. And even if it can be replaced, I wouldn't use a robot. Okay, that's fine. But if I use a robot and I bid $10,000 or $5,000 to do your roof, and the guy using humans is going to charge you $25,000, you're going to hire me.
Your insurance company may not give you it.
And they may not give you a choice. So then if you're the guy with the humans, you're going to lose jobs to the guy with the robot every day.
Well, I think you would have the capability of having a roofing company, because after the robots, to a certain point, insurance companies won't want to cover roofing companies for all the injury.
The workers' comp.
Yeah. That they have, because it is a very dangerous.
It is.
That's why it is one of the very first that they're starting. I don't know if anybody else that's watching this has seen it, but there are robots. That's why we're having this discussion that act.
Yeah. And they're not, and that's the other thing people need to understand about robots. They come in all different shapes and sizes. They're built for their specific task. No, and humanoids will be necessary for some task because we built the world for humans. But this roofing robot is a little box. It goes up rails, carries the shingles, then starts laying the shingles and nailing them down. When it runs out of shingles, it goes back to the ground again. So right now you still need a human to load the shingles, but in 5 years you'll have a humanoid that's running a robot.
Well, the neighbors in our one corner from us just had their roof redowel, and they were robotic about 20 people.
Yeah,
working on it. They had, and then the point where only one or.
You're also going to see it you're going to see a surge in robot policing. That's going to happen.
And it gets weird.
Yeah, it gets weird.
You have to, obey a robot for.
And do the robots get designation like service animals do? Because if you injure an officer's canine, you get charged for injuring a police officer. Are we going to give the same rights to the robots? I don't know. So it's a question we're going to have to ask.
But where do you, some of the information that you've been learning about AI?
Most of the time I find something on X and then I use Grok and say, where can I go learn more? And then I'll just get down rabbit holes after that. But then you start to curate your feed a little bit, and the algorithm will start to serve you more of those things. That's what people complain about the algorithm. I love the algorithm. because you're feeding me things that I want to look at. You're not making me. I wish all advertisements were already curated.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't mind watching an ad if it's something I may be interested in buying. Yeah. I just,
Targeting it may work.
yeah. I mean, but if you're telling me to ask my doctor about this pill and then here's the 50 side effects, I don't want that advertising.
I'm angry, I get angry when my feed doesn't work, the algorithm doesn't work in my favor. Like recently on YouTube, it seems like I've watched all the stuff that I would
Mhm.
watch. And so it's like, okay, well, feed me, another,
Right.
but the stuff that I'm getting at that is,
It's not doing its job.
yeah. Honestly, also don't know that it's not because I've already watched all the worthy
It may be.
areas, because I'm talking about woodworking every
Sure.
like
Yeah, you're gonna run out of woodworking YouTube guys pretty soon. Yeah. I bet. I bet they're real good at it though.
well, obviously you've learned quite a bit over the course of the last probably been like 2 or 3 years since we've done one.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
But I do appreciate it. Now I have a couple of questions that been asking people rapid fire.
All right.
It's just kind of like,
Let's do
so, favorite type of music.
it. Great question. Huey Lewis in the News.
What's your favorite kind of book?
You're like, that's on brand. That's on brand for you.
Favorite type of
Mexican.
favorite restaurant in Lower Alabama?
Oh man, I'm gonna make somebody upset. I've got too many friends that own good restaurants.
Yeah.
All right, if I've got to pick one, boy. Right now, I would say Debris down here on Dolphin because of the roast beef po' boy.
The ribbon have a damn delicious. Favorite city outside of Mobile?
Dubai.
City you want to travel to but have yet to visit?
Tokyo.
What comes to mind when I say guilty pleasure?
Fantasy sports.
Dogs, cats, and
I like dogs. We currently have a cat that adopted us. And so I like this cat.
summer or winter?
Summer.
Favorite movie or TV?
Ooh, another good one. I'm going to go with Friday Night Lights. Both the movie and the TV show for different reasons.
Consistency there. Favorite holiday besides Christmas?
4th of July.
And favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
What are you most thankful for?
Boy, that's a long list.
Generally.
Yeah. One thing about having kids is they love you no matter what. And when you come home, they don't care how your day was at work. They're not worried about that. They just want you to be with them. So that's it.
Well,
And for everyone, there's a guy in the corner chopping onions.
anybody's going to halt you for having those feelings. If I think that you don't have those feelings about your own kids, then you need it.
Yeah. Being a parent is the hardest and best thing about life.
I've learned more about myself in the last 5 or 6 years. My boys are a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 4 years, 24. He's 20.
All right. So you had them when you were like 12.
So I've got some that are in their 20s. I got one that just graduated high school, so 18.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, like, I've learned more about myself than anything else that I've really, it's just like maybe one thing your head up can spur wellness. But
Yeah. I try and remind myself that you're not dealing with fully formed brains. right? They're their brains are not, they're working it out for themselves. They're trying to figure it out. Like,
The problem is usually
yeah.
just how
And,
much we've learned.
and you got to go through the process. Somebody telling you what to do is helpful, but learning how to do it yourself, and you can't tell somebody how to go through their first time when they don't get invited to a birthday party or they have their first breakup or all these things. You can't tell somebody how to feel on that. They got to feel it themselves. They got to go through it. But I would say for anybody that is thinking, should I have kids? I would say absolutely. The first few years are really hard, right? It's like that kid is relying on you.
It's hard until they're a little bit more self-sufficient, which is usually around 30.
Yeah, about 30. Around 30. My mom might argue different. She might say 43, we're still working on it. Um, but yeah, kids, man.
You know? Well, tell people where they can find you.
So, man, you can find me pretty much anywhere on the web. Scott Tindle, Tindle is funny. You've probably seen this meme before, but this actually happened in real life to me. Somebody said, "What's your email address?" And I gave them my email address, and they said, "Whoa, how'd you get your name?" I said, because I was around when Gmail started. you know?
I made purchases of like domains and stuff like that for my name, and yeah, I think hopefully trust it.
Mm-hmm.
The one and then like it got to be
Sure.
but but you don't think about those things really as just a normal person. But if you're involved in technology, it's like when something pops up,
Yeah. Just stake my claim. That's right.
well, I want to thank you again for coming on the podcast. Any final thought on them?
Uh, Thank you for having me. And I would just tell people to be curious, learn more, figure out what you like to learn about. And the more curiosity you have, the more joy you're going to find in life.
I could not agree with you more on that.
Good. Glad we're on the same page.
Really, curiosity is everything, and it's what I try to instill in the kids. What I mean, it drives it. I wanted to say to you, like, I know we've kind of rekindled this friendship here recently over AI. I'm just really appreciative of your friendship.
Well, I feel the same way. Yeah, it's been really good to get a group of people who are that you can talk. Yeah, and you can talk about things. And what's happened is our text has evolved now, right? So it's no longer just about AI and robotics. It's Chad going on a trip with his daughter. It's somebody on vacation. Like, it's become really fun. But we should figure out a way to be able to take that to scale, because I would love for more people to be able to be a part of that conversation. But text is not a way to manage that. Um, anyway, but thanks again.
Appreciate
It's always fun. Thanks, brother.